My name's Annshin, and I'm a producer and a director, and I'm working on a film about North Korean refugees escaping through Asia.
That's got to be a tough topic, and how do you talk to people about their experiences, yet being sort of reverent to that, careful with that, because it's obviously a touchy subject and there's controversial. So how do you deal with the interviewing of these subjects and talking to them about things that are very, very personal?
I find the best way to get at very difficult things, stories that are difficult for people to talk about is to just start by asking them to tell their personal story, just gently prodding them with some interesting opening questions. And then as they get to the more difficult parts of their story, they'll tend to gloss over it. They might say, oh yeah, and then I had ended up in jail, and then 4 months later I was back on the street. So then I'll let them talk for a bit, but then I'll go back and say, hey, so you ended up in jail, what was that like? Just kind of go into it in layers. Let them kind of get into the more tearful stuff slowly, and so you take time with an interview. It also helps, I find, to try and tell stories about yourself as you're interviewing, to bring yourself down to a personal level so that they can feel comfortable and open up to you, because you're essentially opening up to them.
And you've done a lot of work in the field. What would you say is like one of your most challenging sort of experiences as a filmmaker in the field, dealing with subjects and things like that? What is the one thing that if you were advising somebody who's going to be going out and doing this maybe for the first time and encountering people and doing interviews in the field and things like that, what's the thing you would advise them to remember, or caution them about, if you will? I mean, it's like, I always have that.
Yeah.
How do you deal with interviews?
Yeah. Well, generally about making documentaries, I'd say the great tip is to really be very, very present to what's going on and alive to it, because often you think you're starting out to make a film about such and such, but as you're filming, other things will come up, and you have to really be attentive, because there might be an even better story that you didn't know about, that people are just kind of dropping by the wayside as they're talking to you, and you have to pick up on that and follow that. The most difficult situations would be I guess people who are cagey about talking about their experience, or who are very, very polished and have that shell and you can't crack it. Sometimes that might take some time. It might take time in different interviews, different situations, talking to them in different situations. Sometimes it's finding that story that really affected them when they were young or whatever, and talking about that. Then it might open them out to become more honest and open to be on camera. Always have a 5-second handle at the beginning of a move, of a shot, and at the end. You think you're catching something really interesting, and you want to go and move and catch something else that's interesting. Those moves are often going to be shaky and totally unusable. Give yourself a 5-second static handle before you do a move or a zoom or anything. That's the golden rule of thumb. What makes or breaks something is not the visuals, because normally people are always on top of the visuals. You're looking at it, right? It's the audio. You think you're getting this great scene, and if the audio sucks, it really impedes on the experience value. So make sure you've got the boom, or the directional mic or something, and that you're monitoring your sound. Ideally, it's someone who's not looking at the picture, who's monitoring the sound.